Have you ever struggled with a button, fumbling to align it just right? We've all been there, but did you know this mundane task holds a secret, a curious tale woven into the fabric of history? It's a story of men's shirts buttoning on the right and women's on the left, a seemingly insignificant detail that speaks volumes about societal norms and historical quirks. Buttons, those tiny fasteners we take for granted, have a surprisingly long and fascinating history. Dating back to ancient civilizations, they were initially decorative elements, signifying status and wealth rather than practical closures. It wasn't until the Middle Ages in Europe that buttons began to be used for fastening clothing, paving the way for the buttoned garments we know today. And with this shift, a curious distinction emerged. Men's and women's clothing began to button on opposite sides. Numerous theories attempt to explain this peculiar difference, each offering a glimpse into the past. Some historians point to practicality, suggesting that men, often right-handed, would find it easier to button their shirts on the right. Others delve into the realm of societal norms and gender roles, proposing that women's clothing buttoned on the left to accommodate breastfeeding or to distinguish their garments from men's attire. Whatever the reason, this button divide has persisted for centuries, becoming an unspoken rule of fashion. One prevailing theory centers around the practicality of right-handedness. In a time when swords were commonplace, men needed quick and easy access to their weapons. Buttoning their shirts on the right allowed them to easily reach across their body with their dominant hand, unbuttoning their coat or vest and drawing their sword in one swift motion. This seemingly small advantage could mean the difference between life and death in a duel or battle. Women, on the other hand, were less likely to be carrying swords or engaging in combat. Their clothing, therefore, was not designed with such practicalities in mind. Instead, fashion and aesthetics often took precedence, leading to more elaborate and restrictive garments. The placement of buttons on women's clothing was less about functionality and more about conforming to the prevailing styles of the time. This theory of right-handed convenience is further supported by the fact that buttons were initially a luxury item, affordable only by the wealthy elite. These men, often knights or members of the court, were trained in swordsmanship and would have benefited from the ease of buttoning on the right. As buttons became more widely available, this practical consideration likely influenced the design of clothing for all men, regardless of their social standing or need for swordplay. Another theory delves into the lives of upper-class women during the Renaissance and Victorian eras. These women, often ladies of leisure, relied on servants to help them dress. Buttoning a woman's dress from the left would have been easier for a right-handed servant facing her. This seemingly small detail highlights the stark class divide of the time and the role of servants in the lives of the wealthy. Furthermore, women's clothing during these periods was notoriously complex and layered, often involving corsets, petticoats, and elaborate gowns. The placement of buttons on the left might have also been a matter of practicality, allowing women to more easily dress themselves, even with their limited range of motion. This theory suggests that while men's clothing prioritized quick access and functionality, women's clothing considered the intricacies of their garments and the social customs surrounding dressing. The idea that women's clothing was designed for the convenience of servants might seem strange today, but it reflects the hierarchical nature of these societies. Women of means were not expected to dress themselves. It was a task delegated to those who served them. This detail, seemingly insignificant, reveals a great deal about the social dynamics and expectations of the time. Perhaps the most heartwarming theory revolves around the bond between a mother and child. Holding an infant in the left arm, a position favored by many mothers, leaves the right hand free for maneuvering. Buttoning a woman's garment from the left would have made it easier to nurse or soothe a baby while keeping the child close and secure. This theory suggests a tenderness and practicality in the design of women's clothing, reflecting the importance of motherhood and nurturing. While this theory is more speculative and lacks concrete historical evidence, it resonates with the experiences of many mothers throughout history. The image of a mother, her child nestled in her left arm, her right hand deftly buttoning her bodice, speaks to the enduring power of this maternal bond. It suggests that even in the seemingly trivial details of clothing design, practicality and comfort were often intertwined. The placement of buttons, often considered a minor detail in the grand scheme of fashion, reveals a fascinating interplay of practicality, social norms, and historical context. Some argue that the persistence of this button placement, even in modern fashion, perpetuates outdated gender roles. They see it as a subtle reminder of a time when men were the warriors and providers, while women were relegated to domesticity and motherhood. The right-handed convenience argument, they argue, reinforces the idea that men's actions and needs are prioritized, while women's are secondary. This perspective highlights how seemingly insignificant details in design can reflect and reinforce broader societal norms. The placement of buttons, while seemingly trivial, becomes symbolic of the power dynamics and expectations embedded in our culture. It's a reminder that fashion is never just about aesthetics. It's a powerful tool for communication and a reflection of our values and beliefs. However, others argue that attributing such significance to button placement is overthinking a historical quirk. They believe that in modern fashion, where practicality and comfort often take precedence, this distinction is largely irrelevant. Men's and women's clothing has evolved significantly, blurring traditional lines and offering a wider range of styles and silhouettes. The curious case of button placement serves as a reminder that even the most mundane aspects of our lives are steeped in history and cultural significance. It's a testament to the power of observation, prompting us to question the origins of everyday conventions and to appreciate the stories they tell. The next time you button your shirt or blouse, take a moment to consider the history you're holding in your hands. This seemingly small detail, passed down through generations, connects us to the past and invites us to reflect on how societal norms and historical circumstances have shaped our world. It's a reminder that fashion is not merely about aesthetics, it's a reflection of our values, beliefs, and the ever-evolving story of humanity. So the next time you find yourself struggling with a button, remember that you're not just fastening a garment, you're engaging with a legacy woven into the very fabric of our culture. This exploration of button placement encourages us to look beyond the surface and to appreciate the rich tapestry of history that informs our everyday lives. It reminds us that even the smallest details can spark curiosity, ignite conversation, and deepen our understanding of the world around us. So, embrace the quirks, ponder the possibilities, and let the buttons guide you on a journey of discovery.
There and never